looking at the world, I kind of... Hey guys, this is Al from Alchemists channel, and I'm coming to you from my favorite spot, the side of the Mississippi, out of Araby, actually, Louisiana. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about today was, you all know that I kind of look at the world a little differently than most other people do. And so to that end, I kind of wanted to touch on some stuff that I'm starting to find a little bit more indicative of importance in talking about. And so what I mean is that lately I've been running into a lot more people that seem to be triggered by the alchemy theme. And so I'm going to call this lovingly the Alchemists, beyond the Alchemists, because I'm finding that alchemy is now meaning something to a group of people. It's not the majority, so a lot of you won't understand what I'm about to talk about. So, like I give respect to those of you who have different beliefs than I do, just remember that I expect the same from you. Just because I don't see the world in the same way that you do doesn't take any more validity from what I experience for myself, or validity from the people that I'm speaking to. So lately what I've noticed is that I'm running into a lot more people that are somehow inclined by the alchemy thing. It wasn't something that any of us ever had thought about before, but somehow it's played a part, either coming to it from sacred geometry, coming to it from just recent bouts of ideas and kind of subliminal messaging. So it's kind of a weird thing, and it's not a conspiracy so much as I'm just speaking to those of you who maybe are in the same boat that we are. So what I'm finding is that there seems to be a common theme with a group of people that exists within, obviously, the United States and the world. And it goes out of not just alchemy, but it seems to be underlying something greater, and I don't necessarily know what it is, so I kind of want to engage the conversation. Like I said, when I started Altruistic Channel, I was going to talk about stuff that most people wouldn't necessarily touch on, whether it was controversial or non-controversial. And this is definitely one of those things that I really, really, really want to kind of get into. And so it has to do a little bit with my belief system, and so I'm going to kind of just explain it as I go. As many of you know, I hate editing, so it's not going to be an edited copy. It's just going to be what I say now is what's going to go on YouTube. And so with Altruistic Channel, I've started to find myself around 40-ish. And I seem to be encountering people between the ages of 36 to about 44, 45 that seem to be under this particular minority grouping. And what I'm finding is that right around 40, I started to become very aware of giving back. Now, as many of you know, my life has not exactly been one layered with gifts and affluence, and it didn't stay that way. You know, I was born okay. I was born well into a family that was comfortable. And ever since my mom died, everything's kind of been turned upside down. And so it's kind of funny that I find truth in saying that sentence and saying that I'm trying to give back, but there's truth there. And despite whatever I've encountered, I've been very, very big on humanity and big on helping the homeless population and helping ex-Marines and ex-American soldiers and so forth. You know, I had an idea where we started a charity that had to do with paying for all of their public transportation, because I believe if you serve for this country or any other country that you're loyal to, that is in good standing with the United Nations and so forth, that we can at least pay for your bus travel. You know what I mean? Like, I just think that's a small thing that we can do for our fellow man and for our soldiers. And as I've gotten older, the altruism has just grown and grown and grown. And by altruism, I mean giving back. And so the idea started to kind of fester in my brain, in the sense that I kept thinking, like, what is it that's propelling me to do this? Like, why am I suddenly so intrigued? Sorry, like I said, I don't do anything. So what makes me so intrigued by this notion of giving back? And so I started to kind of go down a rabbit hole, if you will, of studying. I started to become very, very aware of sacred geometry, and I was very fascinated by it. And of course, I'd been exposed to it as a younger person. But suddenly it held a different regard to me. And then I started to notice other patterns with myself. Like, suddenly I was able to draw, something that I'd never been able to do before. And so I started to kind of find these little things on the internet that weren't originally there in clusters, but are now seemingly everywhere. And I started to kind of uncover this belief system that people have of something called the collective. And so as a means to that, I kind of just wanted to, it's just one of those things that I just kind of thought was weird. And so as I developed the Altruistic Channel, I kind of wanted to kind of discuss that particular topic. And so one of the things that I noticed was that there seems to be a pattern recognition thing. And with these pattern recognitions, it's one of those things that people find a little odd. Like either you know what I mean when I say that, or you don't necessarily know what I mean. And so it became like an elitist thing, and instead of looking at it from a standpoint of it being something that's separated, I wanted to kind of unite the belief system. And so when I decided that I was going to talk about it, I started to run into all these other people who were having the same ideas. And so it kind of starts with sacred geometry, and it trickles down into almost anarchy and this belief in anti-government. And here I am as someone who believes in, protocol and all this stuff. And so I started to try to figure out what was going on. And one of the patterns that started to emerge was something called the collective thought. And so all across the internet, now there's this thing about the collective. And the collective basically states that we're moving into like almost like a collective state where it's very militarized, and we're very dead set on following the rules as they're written. And so I just started to find that to be kind of stupid. And so I didn't really venture far into that, not too much into that particular topic. And so as that went on, it started to kind of engross other people, and more people became more interested in it. And as it developed, it just kind of increasingly went larger and larger. And so when I got to a point when I started to meet these other like really cool cats and all these chicks, that everybody started to have the same conversation. They were talking about how things weren't making sense. Like they used to be very, very they either were very structured prior to this, and now they're completely unstructured, and they're kind of, in this homeless state, or they're losing their grasp on certain things. And it kind of turned their world upside down. And then on the flip side, all of the anarchists are now kind of like bringing order and bringing some level of responsibility and respect and all the stuff to the environment. Everything kind of went topsy-turvy. And it came down to exactly the same point for everybody. A year and a half ago, all hell broke loose for all of us. And it's the one common thread that is universal for everybody that's into this whole thing. And it made me very intrigued by the idea that a year and a half ago, something in the universe decided to fuck with a lot of fucking people. And now all of these people are having like these thoughts that don't necessarily resonate with their past or their experience in education or their upbringing. Sorry, that's the Coast Guard. I love being in Mississippi, but everybody passes back and forth, and that boat is super fucking loud. But I wanted to come from here because it's kind of like it's important to the rest of the city, and so as a communicator, I kind of thought that was badass. But anyway, so moral story. So all these people are now having the same belief system, and it all structured kind of against their upbringing and kind of their education. And so as we've developed these beliefs, it seems to be growing and growing, and the people are now in a place where they've become isolatory, and they're pushing their families away. With me, they kind of just destroyed my life altogether. Like a year and a half ago, all hell broke loose. And then about 6 months ago, right around January 1st, well, that's 6 months ago, I guess like 10 months ago, 11 months ago, suddenly everything became very chaotic in my life, and then it just fell into order, and I stopped giving a fuck. I mean, I just stopped caring. And for someone like me that's very, I follow the rules and I do all this stuff, I could give a fuck now. I could give a shit. I get in fights all the time with people. I don't listen to anybody's advice. I don't give a fuck what anybody tells me. And it's kind of opposite of who I was prior to all that bullshit. And so with that in mind, all of these other people kind of started acting the opposite way. All these anarchists that I knew that are really badass people are now suddenly like different. And so I kind of wanted to question like what else everybody else is experiencing that's on Altruistic Channel, because it's not just me, and it's not in my head. There's too many of us for it to be coincidental. And it all started a year and a half ago. You typically are either from a single mom, or you are raised with a specific family set. You are particularly of interest to people that you never thought you would be interested in you. You are suddenly very either attracted to certain people that you don't rationally understand why you are. It's not sexual. It's like you're just intuitively more connected with specific people, and they have specific traits that you find interesting. And like say for me, I'm very structured. Now I create chaos everywhere I go, and I don't mean to. And I don't know what the trigger was, or if it was a subliminal wording thing, because the word alchemist came up a lot. And it was through the studying of the symbols that I kept thinking about that were foreign to me that I came upon alchemy. And then sure enough, I started to meet these other people who are like, who literally, I'm using anarchists because I'm talking about specific people who were very anarchist and in the way that they viewed the world, who are now in this position where they originally thought they were chaos. They would create chaos everywhere they went up until now. And about a year and a half ago, it started to switch. And then ever since January 1st of this past year of 2018, Now it's like they bring calmness and they bring order into everything. And as I read into the collective speaks about us moving into one particular kind of organizational thinking. And what I mean by that is that instead of us just existing as individuals within an individual society, we're now living as individuals and we're moving into a connected society. A connected society that all moves as one. Think like a beehive or an anthill. You know, there's always some asshole in the line of ants. It's one of the jokes from, I think it was Wanda Sykes, who made a comment, Wanda Sykes or Elle, I can't remember who, but they made a comment about, you know, there's always one asshole in the back of the line. You know, there's one road rage-filled ant that's in the background going, hey, you know, like, move your ass. And so we're still individuals, but I'm finding that the belief system is that we're going to be moving into a collective order and that we're going to be working in as one. And so it led me down that rabbit hole onto more about the collective. And as I started to engage other people, I started to show strengths in really weird places. So I have this ability, if you will, that I create chaos when it comes to electronics. I short circuit electronics like nobody's business. And so that's why I'm kind of at a distance from the computer right now. Because when I get really stressed, I break clocks. And that's how it started when I was a kid. I would stop time, and I've stopped time like since I was a baby. But my mom, while she was alive, she was able to literally crash entire networks if she wanted just by being angry. And my dad and I would laugh about it. But now as I've gotten older and since my mom has died, it's getting to the point where if I get really angry and I don't check myself, I'll take out the entire fucking network. And I've learned to kind of control it on my own. But I start to wonder, like, is there something weird about me other than the fact that I actually believe this bullshit? And what I found is that every one of us that is being affected in this way, this alchemist type fraternal order, you're like fascinated with very different things. Sacred geometry is a common theme. The collective consciousness is a common theme. There's also the belief of the light bearers. We are bringing the light. And the last time I checked, that's kind of Satanist, because that's what, you know, if you follow something. But what the moral story is that you're a sponge now. And it's something that we have always kind of been. We've always been very studious, but in things we were interested in. And now I can't stop myself. I read everything I can read. And I hold little regard to work. For me, unless work has something to do with advancing society, I could give a fuck. And so I'm doing, like, you know, temporary gigs and all this stuff, and I'm sleeping on someone's couch. And the old me would never allow that. Would never. I remember I stayed on my best friend's couch, and that was different because he was my best friend. That was the only time I've ever been like, okay. Now I don't care. Like, I'm not happy. I'm stuck in this rut. I feel like no matter what I do, I can't succeed. And I don't suffer from delusions of grandeur. And the other common theme between all of us is that none of us feel special enough to take this kind of target on our head. And so we don't understand what is going on. And so we've entertained everything from the idea that we have been watched since we were kids, and it's a government conspiracy. And then we've engaged a conversation that maybe something outside of us, whatever made us jump the evolutionary chain, somehow predicted that we would do this. But we all have different roles. And so we're trying to figure out what is everybody else encountering. And I sound like a madman. I know it, and I'm okay with it. But, and again, it's not for everybody, because, you know, there are a lot of people who find faith, their faith in God, or their faith in humanity, or their faith in science to be enough. But for me and those of us who are under this alchemist fraternal order thing, it's not enough. We're finding that we're waiting for something, and I'm tired of waiting. If you're like me, and I want to hear from you guys, like, honestly, are you tired of waiting? Because I'm fucking sick of this shit. I have built fucking worlds for other people. Oh, that's the other thing. Every single one of us has one thing in common. We all believe that we're creators. And it's kind of funny, because even YouTube has a belief. Their studio is called the Creator Studio. And so it's a theme. And one of the things that has happened to us in our experience, and I don't know about all of you out there, because this is going to find you. If you're one of the Alchemists Fraternal Order, I dubbed it that way because the word alchemy comes up in everybody's word and everybody's story that is part of this. That's what I called it. It's not a real thing. Like, it's not like, you know, but something's going on. And so we're trying to figure out what it is and why us. And why is it specific to like 1976 to like 1984? Or like, what's the deal with the time frame? And what is it we're waiting for? Because I'm sick of fucking waiting. I have literally built worlds in my head, and I probably have created life on other planets, if you will, with my brain, you know, stuff like that. Because, you know, we're made in God's image, so it's possible that we're now able to do that. And that might be some of the explanation, but I'm not crazy, so it's not like science-based, it's just a hypothesis. And so I'm willing to take on everybody else's, what their interpretations are, but no one's having this conversation. And it's not like a small group of us. It's like if you read The Collective, or you read The Light Bearer, or you read not the Trojan Horse, but The White Horse, the book on the White Horse, or The Alchemists, and you read all this stuff, they all share one thing in common. And it's trying to find what that is. You know, why is it that we all feel like creators? What does creator have to do with anything? The word creator plays a part in this. And what is the deal with the alchemy? Like, are we actually alchemists, or are we, you know, like, I mean, the ridiculous would be like, we're coming back again, like we've lived before as alchemists, and this is the return of the Fraternal Order of Alchemy. Okay, fine, but then what's the purpose of it? Because up until recently, my life was pretty good. If I asked for something, I could materialize it instantly. And now, no matter what I do, I can't get anything. It's like I'm being put on hold, and I've been on hold for a while, and I almost died from it. I've almost died 3 times naturally. 2 times? Oh, that's the other thing. All of us so far have almost died. I don't know what that means. But, and then the opposite of me, my yin, if I'm yang, my yin, has always been an anarchist, and now he feels like he brings calmness to everybody. He's almost died 3 times, I've almost died 3 times, and yet we keep living. And so I'm kind of wondering if that's a theme. Is that like a coincidence just between us? Because because I've met 9 in total. And there's certain verbiage that we all have in our head that we don't know where it comes from. But we were all inclined to read sacred geometry, or to look into sacred geometry, then we started reading books, and all of us came to the same conclusions, but different ways. Like, I had never read the books that I just mentioned. I had never read The White Horse. I had never read the Light Bearers. And so as I'm going through this journey that I'm on, and this reality shift that I seem to be embarked in, and this being annoyed as fuck over this being put on hold shit, like, I don't care who or what or they or what the fuck it is, but last time I checked, I was the creator. And so why am I stuck in this holding pattern? Because I've made money for other companies. I've run fucking companies, and I've run websites, and I've been very successful for other people. So why can't I be successful for myself? I can't sell any of my art. I can't sell any of even my websites, which, by the way, are all Alchemy named, which is coincidental, right? But yet I can't sell any of them. So they're obviously there for a purpose. My original idea with that was when I started Altruistic Channel, and all of the stuff that I was embarking in, and the idea of helping humanity and helping us grow and all that stuff, that I would have that as a nest egg, that I could sell that at auction to save my ass if it went to hell. Because if you've ever done business, you know, you have to have a backup plan. That fucking went down in flames, man. Not even one person bid on any of that. And even with the book The Alchemist, nothing. And so I've been put on hold. None of my art sells, none of the websites sell. I could not for the life of me get a job for a minute there. I could not kill myself. I tried, and it did not work anytime. And I was a fucking pharmacy. Like, I have pharmacy background, so I don't understand why it didn't succeed. It wasn't like, I just woke up really annoyed. Even more annoyed than when the guy shot me when he pulled the trigger at my head. And so all of this stuff is playing like at these things. And it's all common between all of us. Like, we have all almost died 3 times. We all have the sequence of opposition where we know that a year and a half ago our life was completely turned upside down, and none of us understand why. We know that we've been watched our entire lives. We know that our parents somehow play a part in it. I know for me, all of my family is gone, and I've been completely isolated now. And if you're anything like us, then you're also feeling that way. And so that belief system is something that I find very interesting, because I don't understand what makes me special. And that's the other thing that all of us have in common. None of us believe that we're special. So as I embark on this stupid journey, and I call it stupid because I don't like having to wait for anybody or anything, I'm finding a lot of other people are drawn to it. And so hopefully when you Google it, all of you will be Googling the word alchemist. And I don't understand what that plays a part with anything, but I feel like a madman. And I'm not that crazy. I mean, I'm crazy like everybody else, but I'm Louisiana crazy, so I'm even more indulgent. But I don't understand the mentality or what's going on. And I'm hoping that, because as I meet more and more of us, I'm engaging people in the conversation, and I'm attracting more and more of them to me. And I'm finding out more and more answers. Like, I didn't know that we were the light bearers. I didn't know that that's what they called it. And I didn't know anything about the collective until I looked it up, because someone had given me a hint. And then I met somebody who who had made the comment, we don't build leaders. I mean, we don't build followers, we build leaders. And so all of this kind of leads you down the path. And so I'm just trying to figure out which of us out there is like me, that you're finding yourself completely isolated from your family. You either have had your entire life turned upside down, you're basically in a homeless state like a gypsy. Like you're not homeless and you have resources, but yet you're not planting firm ground anywhere, and you're kind of waiting for something and you have no idea what the fuck you're waiting for. And you're pushing your family away, or you're married and suddenly your wife or your husband, you can't stand them and you just want to get away from them, but you're not doing it out of hate, you're doing it because you're trying to protect them. All of this weird shit is going on and nobody's talking about it. And so I'm just curious how many of us are having the same pattern. Because as a pattern recognizer and as a communicator, all these people keep coming towards me and I keep having to have these conversations. So I wanted to just cut to the quick. Instead of having this individually, let's have this dialogue. And what we can do is, if you want to keep it private, then I won't put you on the YouTube, I'll just talk about it. But I need to understand what's going on with the minority of people that this is happening to. Because it's just started. A year ago, a year and a half ago, everything was fine for all of us. Our life was great. And then all of a sudden, all hell broke loose. People started dying or whatever was going on, and the world turned upside down. And then we got this asshole in the way. I mean, all this stuff just went off. And then all of a sudden, now you're feeling hollow. You're feeling alone. You don't understand why you're acting the way that you're doing. You're trying to find more quiet times by yourself. You're stuck either in New Orleans or somewhere in your area, and you're being pushed away. And so as we encounter this, I think we need to start bonding and start talking about it. And so I'm going to do a little book series. I'm going to do like a little almost anthology, and I'm going to release it probably tomorrow or tonight on Amazon.com, and I'll let you guys know what it is. But it's going to be little short stories about people that I've encountered that give me permission to kind of use them as a basis to kind of share the story. And so I just want you guys to like look at that and kind of look if you relate to any of it, or if you're finding any truths for yourself that are there. And let's engage it, because obviously something has changed and our world is different. And we have a major role to play, and it's not delusions of grandeur. The entire universe is telling us that we're going to be by ourselves for a period, or at least that we're separating from what we've known so far. And we're acting in counterintuitive ways. We're not doing what we used to do. I would freak out under normal circumstances with my living situation. But right now, I could give a fuck. I don't care about work. I'm not getting any money. All the money that I'm making, I'm still not getting. I haven't gotten it. I've earned it, but I haven't gotten it. And it's like, I'm telling you, I'm on hold. And I want to know what we're on hold for and theories on that. And so all this stuff is going on, and it just seems like we're getting more and more like into running into each other and listening to each other and talking about it. So that's it for me, Al, at Altruistic Channel. Go ahead and send me your feedback. Look for the book on Amazon.com. It'll be either today or tomorrow. And it's going to be a short series, so just look for your own story in there. If it's you, then relate it to me. You don't have to be put on blast. I'm not going to tell anybody's business. I just want to know what the hell's going on with your world, because mine's all fucked up. All right, that's Al for Altruistic Channel. Have you made a mistake today?